Hey everybody, welcome to the Exposition table. I'm your first host, Joe.
And I'm your second host, Dan.
And let's get started on the Exposition. So, this episode, we're going to be talking about a very special game.
Very special.
Okay, so, I guess you can tell by the title, we're talking about MultiVersus.
Hey, Joe. Have you
Yeah?
ever asked yourself, who would win in a fight? Batman or Shaggy?
You know, before the
A tale as old
memes,
as time.
a tale as old as time. I'm sure many of people have labored over that matchup. And what if you threw the Iron Giant in there?
And some green reindeer.
Yep. Throw in Rick and Morty, Gremlins, and you got yourself a true platforming fighting roster.
Yeah, it comes about as well together as we do, which is surprising but moderately functional. So
Yeah,
let's get into that more with MultiVersus.
yeah. All right.
So yeah, MultiVersus. What do we think about it? How do we feel about the end result product?
Okay. So I'm mostly positive about the game. Um, I do have some issues with it. I'm sure we'll get into those as we kind of get on with like how the updates have been handled, how the roster additions have been handled.
Yeah, we should preface that as of the time of this recording, the current patch is 1.02. The most recent character was,
Stripe.
yes, Drake. Black Adam is about to be released, but
Yeah.
he hasn't come out yet.
Yeah. So if you want to get a general frame, a general feeling of what era of multiverses this episode is being recorded in, that's the situation.
Yeah, Black Adam hasn't completely broken the meta, like we all know, and especially after they nerf Jake again. It's gonna be a real shame.
Yeah, right now Stripe is the one terrorizing the meta.
Yep.
So yeah.
Before they nerfed him lower than Rain Dog.
Yeah. So yeah, going into this game, there was a very interesting atmosphere because this game was pretty much announced right as Smash Ultimate was winding down and right as Nickelodeon All Star Brawl was coming out. So we kind of had like a big surge of platform fighters.
Yeah, that's a little disingenuous. This game was not announced after Smash Ultimate. This game was leaked and posted about online for weeks and months before it was announced, and we
Yep.
all knew about it. And that's what really made it sizzle, was we all saw the leaks, and it probably
Yeah.
was better that this was sort of sprinkled out because it gave us the speculation, gave us the is this real? What is this kind of vibe?
Yeah.
And I feel like for a game like this, that viral marketing really kind of pushed it for the good while, where we honestly were just excited, like, what is this? Is this real?
What kind
It was a
of
wild
game
time.
is this going to be? Yeah.
What kind of Smash is this? Yeah, because it was like right around when Nick All Stars was about to release, is when the multiverses news really started to sizzle, and right then, to not get too into our opinions about Nick All Stars, although we may compare it as we get further in. Nick All Stars was not in a good place when Multiverses was really starting to pick up steam in the
No.
conversation. So it really kind of helped Multiverses propel itself because Nick All Stars didn't have voice acting. There was a lot of skepticism about its release.
Yeah.
Sales figures, we didn't know how it was going to turn out. So Multiverses kind of seemed like it was, and Sora had just been announced for Smash, so it really seemed like Nick All Stars was not the heavenly saint that we all were hoping it would be.
Yeah.
So Multiverses kind of just shot it down.
Yeah. Unfortunately, but that's what happened.
So I mean, that pre-release is, I think, really contextually important. That we were in a very strange, very volatile time with
Yeah,
this genre, and
yeah,
yeah, I mean, it would just be speculation and waiting for a while. I don't know if you have more you want to say about the pre-release section.
yeah. Nah,
Sort of
because
like,
like, all right, like people have been talking about this for a little while before the game was even like known to be a thing. That a Warner Brothers platform fighter was like kind of a golden idea.
yeah,
Yeah, especially in the wake of Smash, dying down for the next who knows how long. It's like what other company is going to step in the ring with a kind of opportunities for characters and IP?
yeah, and it's clear that this was not a out of nowhere sort of plan. They had, created a new developer, a new studio to
Yeah,
produce this game. They had been teasing stuff like this. Um, I forget which movie it was, but one of the Warner Brothers movies had a infamous little pre-movie gag where they had Shaggy come out of the Warner Brothers logo with glowing Ultra Instinct eyes, saying, "Like, get over here, man." I can do a better Shaggy than that, but I can't get it out today.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah,
You
so
kind of get the
they
feeling
had
that they
been
were doing something.
alluding. Yeah, there was a lot of trepidations, which is ironic because despite the fact that they would be perfect for it, I don't know if we're going to see the Mortal Kombat characters in this game, but we can get into what wants and not wants later. Later
Yeah,
down the line.
yeah. Later
We'll,
down the
we'll have
line.
time. That'll probably be half this video is just me talking about what characters we do and don't want.
Yeah. So fast forward to around summer 2022, and the game's like actually on its way, and we really got a taste of what this game was really going to be.
Yeah, it was cool to really see a lot of involvement with the community, with the competitive, players, like Hungry Box and people were getting access to it, showing it ahead of time, and
Yeah,
it looked promising. And then we found out, at some point along the way, this was going to be free to play, and that,
yeah,
there was certainly a lot of we before it came out, we knew it was free to play, and we knew it was 2v2 as like the only way to play. Now we now know that they patched in different modes, but at the time we didn't know.
yeah,
So, I mean, what did you think about all that going it
yeah. It's
like
a
before the
platform
game came
fighter
out?
that was predominantly based around 2v2, which hasn't really been a thing yet beforehand. It's like, yeah, most platform fighters generally had access to multiple players and the potential for 2v2, but this is the first time where that's like the main like design philosophy. This
Yeah,
was a platform fighter with support characters,
yeah.
buffing, perks.
It took as much from Smash as they did from Overwatch when they were making this one.
Yeah, like it's just as much like esports type games like Overwatch or League of Legends, including how they've like been gradually just introducing characters at a relatively rapid pace.
And the monetization method of well, Overwatch was a paid game, but then it kind of became free. You have to pay for Overwatch. I don't even know anymore. I actually don't even know. Well, obviously you don't have to pay for Overwatch 1 anymore because that game's dead. But as far as like, yeah, like it's all based around in-app purchases. It's all based on cosmetics. It's all
Buying
based on
skins.
purchasing skins and battle passes and stuff like
Yeah.
that, which is very unique for a platform fighter. Um, it's certainly a genre that, like, at first, I kind of, I was hesitant, been used to buying your game and having everything in the game,
Yeah.
from the get go, because we really didn't know how it was going to work with the battle pass. Luckily, we now know that everything can be, all the characters can be just purchased with the regular in-game currency
Yeah.
at any point. Um, and it does create an interesting sort of dynamic there because they do let you train with all of them, and you can use them in local verses. As far as online verses, you do have to earn the characters.
Yeah.
Um, so they luckily didn't do anything scummy like make character styles locked behind limited time events.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Now.
that yeah, I don't dislike how their business model is. There's certainly things I would appreciate them changing. But as far as how the most of my initial concerns about the free to play model were absolved by the end result, which is
Yeah.
you don't have to buy any of the characters, you do have to work for them, but you can earn them by just playing the game. And if you're
Yeah.
playing local, then it doesn't even matter.
Nah. Like pretty much everything that matters for gameplay is mercifully accessible.
Which I think was really important. They towed a very difficult line with it, and they could have screwed it up, but I think the devs really seem like they respect the player base and respect the community
Yeah.
enough to make those concessions for their audience.
Yeah. Like for a fighting game, you kind of need to have like pretty ready access to the characters so you know how they function.
Yeah. Yeah, the ability to play as any character in like training and local, I think is even important when it comes to playing online with, you know, letting you try a character before you buy them out.
Yeah, because it's not like a normal traditional fighting game where you pick up a character, you learn how they work as an individual, and then you just go. No, these characters are designed with synergy in mind. Like
Do
they're
you want to start kind of getting into some of those deeper discussions about the mechanics and the
yeah,
business model? I think at this point we've kind of mostly covered our pre-release
yeah,
discussions there.
yeah. We're pretty much we've made the
Yeah,
transition into
yeah. So let's just kind of keep going with
playing the
that because
game.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
Because while we're kind of in this space, I did want to discuss a little bit. How do you feel about the way the characters are dished out to you?
Okay, so I'm already semi used to the way this game functions in terms of like the free character rotation. League of Legends does that, and I played the league pretty briefly. So you get a free rotation based on the week, and then you get a pretty decent start in gold from like the tutorial and stuff. So you pretty much just play a bit. You like buy the character you want to try first. Um, this game really does kind of feel like you kind of want to stick with the main for at least a little while.
Yeah, it changes the philosophy from use a bunch of different characters to you really want to dedicate yourself. You really want to be a this character player and a this character player more so than kind of a mix around style.
Yeah,
Which again, you could certainly try them, but they really want to encourage you via the leveling,
yeah,
methodology where you level up to get different perks, different, passive abilities like that, by leveling with that particular character. Not, you have your own level bar and you have your own
yeah.
battle pass bar, but you also have a dedicated character level bar that
Yeah.
will have different unlocks specifically for that character
And plenty of
that you
people
need to
use
train that character.
many characters, but at first, the game really does kind of point you towards you kind of want to get a handle on how to play well in the first place.
Yeah, which is different, I would say, than other games. Do you think the amount of characters you start off with is good? Do you think it's perhaps too low? Do you think that it's right for the format the game's in? Like, do you think for free to play having only like 3 to 4 characters is fine? Do you think because of being a platform fighter that perhaps you should have a few more characters, like the more traditional 8? Where do you kind of fall on that? Because for me, I think I get why you only have 4, but
Yeah.
like for one person, I guess 4 isn't too bad. It can feel like you don't
I've
have enough. If you don't get good odds, you might not have a character of every type. Like I don't
yeah
think I have any like magic style characters, at least from the 4 I started with. So like any of the more specialized characters. Mine were all like brawler attacker styles. I think I had like uh, Garnet, Superman, and Harley Quinn, I think,
It's
for like my
dependent
three.
on the week.
And maybe Finn. But I didn't have like, you know, Bugs Bunny, I didn't have like, any of the more sort of specialized characters. So for me I kinda got, a little more skewed in my style.
I feel like yeah, the number could be a little higher for starting out, but like once you get like the tutorial done in a couple games, and you kind of get like pick a character to play for a while. I feel like you're not really stuck in that hole where you don't have options for very long.
Yeah, that is fair. If you really kinda lab out, a good hour or two of rounds, you could probably earn another character.
Yeah,
Do you think it's fair that some characters cost more than others?
yeah. I'm not a big fan of that designation. Like some characters that are labeled as like expert style characters cost more. I don't know.
If they're all part of the if they're all part of the base roster, they should all be the same price. Like I
It
understand
feels
later
kind of
release
arbitrary.
characters. Yeah. Like
Like why
it
does
it doesn't
Arya
make
Stark cost more than Tom and Jerry? No, actually, they cost the same. I picked a bad example, but
isn't Steven Universe like a cheaper one compared to like Superman or Batman or something?
like a character like Jake or Garnet are like really cheap compared to someone like yeah, Batman or Morty. And then you have expert characters like Tom and Arya, which cost 3,000.
Yeah, Arya costs like 3,000, Garnet is like 1,500. It's like that doesn't exactly indicate if the character is like good or not. It's
It
just kind
it
of arbitrary. Like I'd understand if newer characters cost more money, especially as the game rolled out. It would encourage you to use the older characters and kind of get used to them. Yeah, like Tasmanian Devil is like 1,500 coins, and he was like broken for weeks. you know?
yeah, it's not a quality thing. Like obviously they're like I don't want to say obviously like you're dumb for not knowing that they're
Oh, I'm
doing
sorry.
this.
Steven was 3,000 coins. He was a high value character.
Yeah, because
Do you see any Stevens online?
I see a couple nowadays. the The point is like extra characters are considered to be harder to use, and that's kind of a way to like curtail noobs away from them.
I don't know.
It's weird. Like I see what they're doing, but it is weird.
I just think that anybody in the base roster should cost the same, and any late post-release characters should cost more. Like have a default basic roster and then expand from there, kind of a deal. But
Yeah, yeah. Like I agree with you.
point is that there's some level of consistency, and it just seems silly, especially if you're just a noob playing it or you're a casual person playing it. None of this arbitrary designations make sense to you. If you're like, well, Steven Universe hasn't been on the air for like a decade, but if you were like a kid or a teen and you want to play as Steven or Finn or I'm trying to say kids, but like there's not a single character on the roster that anyone under the age of like 10 is gonna know. Well, okay, Batman. All right, fine. You want to play Batman, and it's like
Yeah.
2,000, but why does he cost more than Tasmanian Devil? He doesn't. Why? What does that even mean?
Yeah, this game has a few weird designations that don't make entire sense.
Yeah.
Like yeah, like we're splitting hairs here, but like they have like class designations. Like there's brawlers, support, mages, tanks, assassins. But like Morty's a brawler, but he functions a lot like the mages.
Yeah, doesn't he use like guns and stuff
He
and like
uses all sorts
projectiles?
of gadgets and like
Yeah.
a lot of attacks are on cooldown, which is said to be the stuff about mages. But Morty's kinda like
How
he
the hell's he a
functions like a
brawler?
mage,
Even in a like, you look at
superficial
Morty.
sense.
Morty is the antithesis to a Chad. How is he a brawler?
Yeah,
He's a brawler like Luigi's a brawler. He's literally the after and in a duo. How can he be the brawler? Rick and Morty, Mario and Luigi. How can he be the brawler if he's the after and? Don't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you don't want both Rick and Morty to be the
Maybe
same
just
style, but then you don't make Rick and Morty in the same game.
yeah. So yeah. No, like like we've been talking grievances for a few minutes, but these ultimately aren't the biggest issues.
Yeah,
These are just like little weird things.
this is mostly coming down to like sort of the odd way that sort of the game's payment method structured, and you know, this is more where my focus is. Joe, I know, is going to talk more about like mechanical
Yeah.
sort of concerns, and we should preface that we do enjoy the game. We
Yeah.
do think the game is solid. Anything that we're trying to say are just things that we kind of would wish were handled a little bit better. For me, having the whole
Yeah.
experience of the game. I know Joe, he's a little more focused on like the mechanical side of things. So,
Hmm.
uh, take a break from complaining about purchases and talk a little bit about like mechanics.
All
Like,
right.
what do you
So
think? There's some
what happens
strengths
when
and
we actually
weaknesses to
start to
how it
play
goes.
this game?
Yeah, when we're not stuck in the lobby for an hour.
All right.
Which luckily doesn't happen. The lobbies are pretty quick.
Lobbies are quick because unlike basically every other platform fighter, with the exception of I think Rivals of Aether, the online works and is like
People actually want to play this game.
mostly functions well, and yeah, it's populated fairly healthily.
Yeah, crossplay right out of the gate really helps with that.
Yeah. Yeah, like Dan plays Xbox, I play PC.
Yeah, so we can just
Some of
kind of
my
see
closest
who's
friends and
playing
brother
what.
play on PlayStation, and we can all play.
Yeah. Not having it out of the gate is a silly idea, and the
Yeah.
platform fighters. It's something you really take for granted now that, like, 5 years ago, this wasn't an option for most games.
Yeah.
So, and for platform fighters, it is mostly unheard of. So, in all
Yeah.
respects,
They either
really got to
don't
give
have
props to MultiVersus.
crossplay or don't have functional online at all.
I'm sure there's some examples, but as far as Warner Brothers games go, I can't think of any that have any form of crossplay. Now, admittedly, there's not a lot of Warner Brothers multiplayer games, but like I'm fairly certain Mortal Kombat does not have crossplay. So, just from a business standpoint, you know,
Yeah. And that's super smart. Not only in general, but for a free to play game, that means that there's almost invariably going to be someone online to play with. For a 2v2 game, you really need that.
oh, sorry, Mortal Kombat 11 did have crossplay for 4 or 5 ones and series, but PC and Switch were not. So, yeah, but now we're at a point where everything can crossplay.
Yeah.
So,
That is a big deal. And while I would say that on the ground level, I don't think MultiVersus has my favorite combat engine of platform fighters. It more makes up for it by having an actually extremely fun 2v2 experience. Uh, Even more so is that I think that this is the first platform fighter where I'd say that 1v1 is not the best way to play the game, and that playing with more than two people on the same map is actually fun.
yeah, the game was designed with this mechanic in mind, and it honestly feels like it. Like, if you try to imagine a 1v1 match, like, the maps are big, and that's not the only thing, but the maps feel like they were designed to accommodate large, sprawling arenas and a lot of hectic sort of, combos and tag teaming, and it would be very barren if you were just using one character each. You get blasted, and then you have all this space to get around to. Which isn't to say that
Yeah,
1v1s
not
aren't
going to
fun.
disparage the people that do play one and one. Like,
Yeah,
you
but
can
it's
have
clear that
intense matches, but this game is designed for 2v2, which is unique.
yeah, it's a very unique, yeah, very remarkable experience that it honestly works this well. Um, 2v2 can be kind of interesting in other platform fighters, but This is the first time where it really feels like this is the intention
Yeah,
behind it,
you
and
have characters that
everything's
are
built for it.
yeah, you have characters that are setting up shields, having buffs,
Yeah, like
synergizing
what
their
the hell?
attacks in creative ways.
Yeah, what the hell are you gonna do with shield and healing abilities in 1v1? So
Yeah,
it is interesting that there are technically like two different kinds of meta, but it's very clear that certain characters only exist to be used in a multiplayer function, and they can't be used on their own.
yeah. For example, and it leads, for example, it leads into extremely creative and kind of untapped character design ideas. Like let's say no further than the current OC character, Rain Dog. He's a dog that reins in his allies so they don't get knocked out.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
can't do that. You need a Pokemon to do that in Smash or something. Like that's not an ability that you can build into a one game that's primarily built to
yeah,
be 1v1 or even free for all.
yeah. You have Steven Universe who sets up shields, which can not only be used as protection for an ally, but can also bar out the enemy's movements by setting up a wall.
Yeah,
And he heals,
even
and he summons a little watermelon guy. You're not getting that in a normal fighting game.
yeah, dude. You have like really unique characters that really fit this kind of multiplayer. Like it feels like this game was really intelligently thought out for what kind of game they wanted it to be. They wanted this to be a more social game. They wanted this to be a more community driven game. And by having 2v2, you basically guarantee that you need to,
Think about your
socialize a
ally.
little bit more. You need to socialize a little
Yeah,
more. You need to be more communicative.
yeah,
This might be a bit hyperbolic, but it does remind me kind of the impetus for when, like Pokemon was designed originally as a social sort of experience of
yeah,
communicating with another player in order to get the best part of your experience by communicating with another person. It feels like in that same regard, this game was built with the idea, and yeah, you could play multiverses on your own. You could be you know, hang out in your own,
yeah,
chill in the basement, exist, go work your 40-hour job, then come home, talk to no one, and beat the crap out of someone with Arya Stark.
yeah.
You're more than welcome to do that, but it does feel like there's a little something missing if you're not engaging with, you
Yeah.
know, engaging with the community. Even just talking on Reddit with people about what are good ways to build team combinations. You
Or
see, like your teammates using a rain dog, who are you gonna switch to?
yeah,
Or
or hopping on with a friend or two and like working on team combinations.
or just even just coming up with ideas for utilizing certain characters who clearly have more of a two-player focus in 1v1s. Like you can figure that stuff out, and it feels like this game is really built with that idea. It's built with
Yeah,
this free-to-play model, the battle pass. Uh, it feels like a communal game. Seasonal events, like it really feels like they took all the hallmarks of a Fortnite or an Overwatch or something and found a way to get it to fit into a multiplayer fighter like this,
yeah,
which sounds like nothing when on its surface, but really is remarkable that they took a genre so ironclad in its format since 1998 and managed to do something fresh. Whether or not you
yeah,
think it's good, I mean that's up to you, but you
yeah.
certainly can't say that it's not. I am hard pressed to call this a bad video game, even if there were elements I didn't like, and even if there are design decisions I wouldn't fully agree with. Which isn't to say that I do, but even if I was, I can't say I could call this a bad game. I can't say this is
Nah,
a unpolished game. This
they,
is a fully thought out and fully executed concept.
yeah, they thought through most of the mechanics, most of the ways that people are intended to interact with the game.
Yeah. And on that, like that's an achievement in a genre that's been pretty much destitute like
Yeah,
for 2 decades now. Like pretty locked in with what they're gonna do.
yeah. All right. So, who do you main?
For me, I only have used like 5 characters total in the game. So for me, I run a pretty dirty Superman.
Yeah,
With this one guy who likes to play Garnet.
and that's me. Yeah, I use Garnet. I sometimes use Jake. I dabble in Arya. Um, don't not good with her, but yeah, those are like, yeah, Garnet and Jake are like the two I'm pretty competent with.
I also dabble with Harley a little bit. I test out Shaggy. I still haven't even unlocked him yet. Um, I really haven't had that much of an opportunity to play. When I do play, though, I love to lab Superman abilities. He's such a cheap bastard, and I love him. He's so fun to play. He is genuinely very fun to play, and was a character I was hoping most I was going to have on my roster when I got him. Not because I'm a hardcore Superman fan. I mean, conveniently, I was getting into Superman-related media. You're gonna hear sometime next year. I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you guys all about my experience with Smallville this year. But
Ooh, stay
suffice
tuned for
to
that.
say, suffice to say, I got really into Superman lore over the last year or so. So I was very excited to play a game, a good video game of Superman. Uh, and he could not be any better. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I've tried Batman out a little bit. He's fun. Finn from the gameplay videos I've watched looks fun. Shaggy's Captain Falcon, and that's great. Um, and yeah, I like playing with Harley. But yeah, I think that a lot of the characters are really enjoyable to try out. A lot of the characters have like some really diverse sort of styles. You've obviously played more than me, so if you want to kind of talk about, a bit more about like the character dynamics and
Yeah.
you know
I think
strengths
the
and weaknesses.
interesting thing about this game is that pretty much every character in the roster kind of has a pitch that's fairly unique to themselves. Like Bugs Bunny, he makes tunnels. He has a whole bunch of tricks. He feels like you feel like you're playing as Bugs Bunny, not necessarily just a normal fighting game archetype.
Yeah, he's not just Mario or something with a pie. He's actually like, despite seeming like he'd be the default safe mascot character, Bug seems to be one that they really incorporated a lot of unique gimmicks into.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. He has a giant rocket. He has all sorts of tricks you can pull out of your sleeves.
yeah, he's a much more technical character than it would seem like for a character as iconic as Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, like can we talk about the sheer fact that the Iron Giant is in this game and he's like a super mega heavy character?
Yeah, I mean they definitely did not undershoot him.
Yeah,
Basically every character seems like fully realized versions of themselves. I think the hindsight of being a game released like a decade and a half to 2 decades after Smash Brothers really came into itself is you really now know how to start and develop everyone. They don't all share the same like base sex kick, the same,
yeah,
role like in Smash where a lot of the early characters and that has its charm of having some uniformity, but now games can come out of the gate with everybody playing so radically distinct from themselves where no two moves really feel like the same.
yeah.
Um,
Like
and it just gives, I mean, admittedly, it can be a little tricky to get a familiar feel of the game when everyone plays so different, but
yeah,
it gives some uniqueness to who you play. Like, you really have to know how everyone plays on the roster. You can't
yeah,
kind of just budget with a general knowledge of the game's engine.
yeah. Like without prep, you're not gonna play a good Gizmo.
Yeah, like if you've never seen this character before, you will have no idea what you're getting into. If you're playing Smash and you see a dude with a sword, yeah, I mean you're gonna have some difficulties, and they might throw some weird moves at you, but you have a somewhat idea of what the hell is gonna happen. What is LeBron James gonna do if you've never fought him before?
Yeah, like what are you thinking when you're using him? What does Morty do?
What does a Morty? What does a Morty do?
Yeah, what fighting game archetype is Morty.
What's a rain dog gonna do? What even is a rain dog?
Yeah, which is obviously like why they have the intended roles on there. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, if you pick Rain Dog, you're expecting to play support. It doesn't do the best job at designating how each character plays.
Because even within that, the support characters all function very differently.
Yeah,
Some heal, some have shields, some have tethers, some, you know, like you don't even know really what you're gonna get into, and then seeing how the teams combine together, like if you see Joe, name two good team combinations and list them off as a comparison because I can't do that because I don't know them well enough.
all
Name
right.
two good duos.
Ooh, putting me on the spot here. Like, okay, like Rick and Stripe are like a really annoying combo that can kind of hit you from everywhere and you destroy you before you know what's happening. Or you could
Yeah,
have Shaggy and Superman. Superman soaks up damage while Shaggy charges up and spams his kick.
yeah, like you got to know how these two people are gonna play together because it's not just predicting how one person's gonna interact; it's predicting how two people together
Are
are
going
going
to
to
use
take these
their
two skills.
characters.
Which again, I know this is kind of redundant basic stuff for a multiplayer fighting game, but it is a very different mindset and a very different philosophy than other multiplayer fighters, where
Yeah,
you're only really concerned. You can learn how to fight, a fox. It's kind of hard. It's a lot harder to learn how to fight a Shaggy Superman team, or to
yeah,
learn how to, prepare if somebody's using Iron Giant and whatever other character they're gonna have, combining those together.
yeah. Like, you think about it. Okay, so Jake is teaming up with Steven. What is this combination gonna do?
Yeah. What is the default? What is the baseline thing I should expect running into this duo, on top of their own individual, style choices?
Yeah, like, in comparison to other platform fighters, like, yeah, you're fighting Marth. He's gonna use his sword. He's gonna grab you and try to space you away while he tries to combo you to death.
Yeah.
Fighting a Patrick, he's gonna use grapples. You're fighting like Crag in Rivals of Aether. He's gonna set up his rock. He's gonna try to like space you out with his gimmick. But like you could get a general handle on how one MultiVersus character is gonna function, but then you have to think about their teammate.
Yeah. And if you're playing randos, you got to think about what your teammate's gonna do, and if they're a weak, counter pick.
Yeah.
Like, are they gonna have a good shot against versing them? Like,
Yeah.
if you somehow get unlucky enough to get two like healing characters on the same run, it's like, all right, what the hell are you gonna do?
Yeah.
How are you gonna get out of this
The
one?
enemy's a Finn, so you're gonna expect him to be like kind of squishy and very offensive. But his ally is Wonder Woman, and Wonder Woman just hooked him up with the barrier.
Yeah. You're not hitting. You're not getting any damage on them.
Yeah, like there are three tanks in this game so far, and they're all extremely different from each other. They're very distinct.
Yeah,
Superman, Wonder Woman, and Iron Giant are technically the same class, but they all go about that very differently.
yeah, dude. Superman hits like a truck, and the Iron Giant is like you're hitting a truck.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, it's really but yeah, I
and
think
yeah. So it does kind of make you forget about some of the things this game kind of doesn't have. Like, I mean, to be fair, like in high level play, you're not going to play with items anyway. But there aren't items in this game. There aren't like too many stages, and most of the stages are fairly benign.
yeah.
But that's only because the amount of factors that go into combat are very numerous.
I
Rain
will
Dog's
say,
lighting the stage on fire.
yeah. On that note, while we're kind of talking about it, I do want to say I don't want to say a weakness, but I do think something that could use a little bit of potential is I do feel like the stages are a little too bland. I know
Yeah,
that there's a lot going on with four characters, and I certainly don't want like auto scrollers or any of that garbage. like in Smash, some of those levels. But I mean, like, it feels like the stages don't really affect, for the most part, how your match is gonna go, which I guess is kind of a good thing. But it kind of leaves them feeling a little empty, a little meaningless. Like it's,
Yeah.
it's different kinds of white bread. Like the Batcave is like Wonder Bread. Freaking, you know, the Steven Universe stage is like freaking can't think of names of bread. You know what I mean? Like they're all
Yeah.
just different varieties of the same thing for the most part. Like they don't really have a lot of distinction. And I'm not saying like the level has to attack you or pull out weird gimmicks and stuff, but a little bit more spice to it. Because at
Even
this
though
point,
I
like,
do dread going that haunted house stage.
the only one I feel like has any kind of interesting geometry to it.
Oh, it's interesting. It's just not pleasant to fight on. I know a lot of people also hate Tree Fort, but like, yeah, a little more variety. I'm looking forward to whenever they drop more stages.
Yeah, that is something that I do think could use a little improvement. One thing, I guess while we're kind of getting on some of the more superficial sort of things, is that I feel like the soundtrack is a little too subdued. There's some decent tracks, but they kind of get overshadowed by the sound design, and even the tracks that are good, you just don't. I don't know,
You don't
like
really
nothing
notice
really
it,
sticks out.
probably
Yeah,
because there's a lot going on in every fight, and there's also a lot of voice acting.
yeah.
This is
Which
a
admittedly, we do want to talk about some of the voice acting, but I did want to at least address that I do kind of wish the music was a little more pronounced. It
yeah
feels very
tertiary
like
to what you're intaking. Any
yeah, like it feels like
yeah.
when I think about like the main themes, they sound like very generic. Like this is what it would sound like if I went to like a theme park and I was in like the Justice League section.
Yeah.
Like very stock. Like it sounds like music that was left on the cutting room floor from the Injustice games.
Yeah.
So, but there's like a good track or two every now and then. It's not like the music's bad. It's just super bland, and usually platform fighters tend to excel with having music really help personify the franchises they're coming from.
Yeah.
So it's a little odd to have the music be so again subdued,
Yeah.
especially when you have like Bugs Bunny and freaking Batman and stuff. You'd hope to kind of get some of their motifs in there a little bit more. Uh, like obviously there's licensing issues, so I'm not saying they have to sound exactly the same, but have like any of the Batman themes kind of incorporated into the music. I mean you can't use like John Williams or like Superman scores stuff like that. You know, licensing issues and whatnot, but find something to kind of do to kind of bring it
Yeah.
in a little bit more. But as for that voice acting, which was announced from the get-go as being in the game, which another game didn't have at the get-go, which hurt its reputation.
Oh man, we're gonna have to talk about that game soon. Uh, kind of feel bad, but yeah. Like not only are there announcer packs, every character has dialogue, oftentimes with other characters,
Yeah, conversation, talking with each other. Has that
which
continued with the DLC? Like, do they have
I
unique
think
dialogue for Gizmo?
I think so. I mean, Gizmo doesn't really talk much at all, but I'm pretty sure that they do have like
So they keep
conversations.
bringing those dudes back. Well, maybe they recorded a lot of it in advance, but like
Yeah.
down the line, like 2 years from now, when they're talking the freaking Saul Goodman, and they're gonna have to have new dialogue or something. Yeah, like
Yeah.
they're gonna have to come up with some new dialogue for every character when they talk to the new roster characters. Who knows? But I mean, I appreciate what they have now.
This is by far the most detailed voice acting in a platform fighter.
Honestly, for a lot of fighters in general. Well, okay. Uh, yeah, I would say for a lot of fighting games, like at least in terms of in-game battle, not
Yeah.
many fighting games use this much dialogue with each other.
Yeah, dialogue in combat, like, it is something that I am sometimes a bit leery about because it can easily get overbearing. But most of the time, it's not that bad.
Yeah, they don't have the issue of only having like 4 sound bites get repeated every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It's not like take this, take this.
Yeah. Which can sometimes be an issue, but nah, they directed it well.
Yeah, they don't have any issues like the 2000s classics.
Yeah.
Burn to the ground. Yeah, but no, the voice acting is really solid. Most characters use their original actors. As far as I can tell, there haven't been any replacements, and if they
Um,
are, they're pretty good
there've
replacements.
been a few,
If they
but
are,
it's not like the most
they got as
done.
many as they could.
Yeah.
They have as many of the original actors as they can, and they're not different enough for me to be able to notice.
Yeah.
But yeah, um, I guess at this point it's just worth talking about the characters themselves, and I think I kind of float around mostly everything else so far.
Yeah. Nah. Um.
Who do you like? Who do you not like? Do you you know, are there characters you wish were improved? Are there characters? Eventually, we'll talk about who we want to see
Yeah.
and what we
All right.
expect and what we hope.
I
I
main
guess I
her.
just want to close out anything else in the game itself.
I main her. It's really fun to use Garnet and just like destroy an enemy once you get a clean shot in. But goddamn, her neutral special is useless. Like the buff lasts for like 4 seconds. It's you're never seeing that often.
Yeah.
But yeah, Arya feels a lot more rigid than I was expecting. But you know, when you get on a good groove with her, she's really fun. Jake really is a very beginner friendly character. He's very satisfying to control, like how you like angle his punches and stuff.
Yeah. He's very fun. He kind of makes you feel broken in like a easy way. Like
Yeah,
he's not broken, but like he makes you feel like you can kind of break it a little, which I think is another thing with this game is that every character has a potential to be really dirty. So it makes everyone feel it feels like you have broken characters fighting other broken characters.
yeah. Every character feels like they do a thing, and they do that thing really
Yeah.
well, or at least in a very distinct manner.
Yeah.
Like we kind of prefaced this, so that you're not really going to know how characters are going to interact with each other until you have experience.
Yeah. Which can definitely be difficult jumping in, which is why it's a good thing there's a lot of tutorials to really help guide you through the early
Yeah,
parts of the game.
and you can train with every character.
Yeah.
Rick has portals. Superman can freeze people.
He can fly, he can freeze people, throw you he can throw you down and slam you up and then can throw you off the top of the screen if you're not careful. I've
Tom and
done that quite a
Jerry
few
get
times.
to do whatever they want.
Yeah. They will use each other as weapons, which is both visually entertaining and also can really be disorienting if you're not used to that kind of character.
Yeah.
It's almost a beginner's noob trap, is that you kind of how do you even mentally prepare to fight a character who is fighting themselves?
Yeah.
Those damn Looney Tune bastards. I know Tom and Jerry aren't Looney Tunes, but they follow the same ethos.
Yeah. Close enough.
They just fuck your day up. They're like, bro, I just got my ass beat. No wonder they always whoever their adversaries are can never win in those cartoons. Elmer Fudd would be F tier in this game.
So, that's to bring up my least favorite character, as of now, he's the newest character, which leads to my biggest problem with this game, actually. Stripe is really annoying, and the worst part about him is his gun attack, which could just kinda. He doesn't really have to aim it, and is the most toxic thing I've experienced in a long time. Which kind of leads to a problem which Rick and Stripe have both had, where new characters drop and they're either like kind of glitchy or they're completely overtuned and it makes the game kind of unpleasant. Which, you there?
Keep going. What am I
Uh,
gonna say? I
all
only
right,
played 4 characters.
all right, fair. Like that's kind of my biggest gripe with the game is that the balance gets thrown off so quickly whenever a new character comes out, and it's been a few months and we've already had 4 new characters come out.
Yeah.
And like or 5 even, and like 2 times like the characters stuff's kind of been toxic, and it's just unfortunate.
Yeah.
And I really don't want this to continue. I don't want Black Adam to break the game because it kind of sucks, especially.
Joe, of course he's gonna break the game. He's The Rock. It's in his contract that he's not allowed to lose. You're gonna get your opponent off the edge, and then Dwayne's agent's just gonna come in and push you off the stage yourself. Like, can't lose to The Rock. Can't lose to you. Your rank is way too low to lose for The Rock to lose to you.
But yeah, and another problem with the volatility of the game is just that like a lot of buffs and debuffs happen every patch, and they're pretty heavy-handed.
Yeah, seems like they kind of over counter. Didn't they like destroy Taz with the
Taz has
patches?
been top tier and bottom tier multiple times already.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good thing my character's kind of consistently average or below average. I'd hate to be someone that uses a broken character or a top tier character knowing that they're going to eat a big fat nerf very soon.
Unless they're like Batman, in which case they're too popular to get nerfed.
Ah,
Luckily, the good. Oh wait, did Batman get a heavy nerf?
I don't actually know about Batman.
Because I was gonna say the difference between this and like Smash is that the characters who are top tier tend to not be like the most popular, like Fox and Marth and all that stuff. Like those are popular characters for Smash players, but they're not popular characters for Jimmy Schmo over there.
Yeah.
Like if Mario was top tier, he'd be eating some fat L's. But like, that's why it's like Batman, Superman probably. I mean, they get little nerfs.
Yeah, they've gotten nerfed before.
Right?
Superman has gotten nerfed.
Well, okay, Superman. I was talking about popular characters, according to WB Joe. And we've got an entire decade of Mr. Snyder doing what he does to the reputation of Superman to mean that his ranking will not be determined by popularity.
Yeah, fair.
It's not fair, and that's the point. It's not fair.
But yeah, like.
Did you hear Aquaman's getting in?
Oh man, I hope.
Superman.
But yeah, like so far there hasn't been like a Pikachu situation where a top tier has just avoided nerfs. I'm not sure how familiar you are with the tale of the yellow rat in Smash Ultimate.
Not really. Really. I think I've wound up playing about as much Smash Ultimate as I have MultiVersus, so
Alright.
not all.
Alright. Well, long story short, Pikachu's like the one like consistent high to top tier character that has never been nerfed at all.
Huh.
Yeah. So people kind of make the joke.
Like I said, that's what I was saying. Like, popular character. Doesn't get to get nerfed.
Yeah, which is also funny because when Pichu was briefly top tier, they nerfed Pichu to relative oblivion.
That's what Pichu gets for Pichu. They're like, stay back in your place.
Yeah, like people often
Don't
joke.
remember where you used to be. I made you to here. Don't get cocky, kid. You're gonna throw the fight.
Yeah, like people often joke that Pikachu's crouch is like a pancake, so Pikachu just kind of pancakes under all the nerfs. Like you know that one episode of South Park with the turkeys, and there's that one turkey that's head's always hitting the ground
Yeah.
and it avoids all the saw blades.
Yeah.
That's Pikachu.
Mr. Magoo's that shit.
Yeah, it's like if you want to avoid nerfs in Smash, you're either Pikachu or you're the last character. Like I'm pretty sure even Little Mac, a bottom tier, has been nerfed. Of course, they buffed
since,
him, but
since we're already so deep into talking about other platform fighters, how would you say this compares?
yeah, that is an interesting question because in terms of like standard game feel, I don't think it ranks that high. But as I said, the things it does well, it does the best. If you're not playing one-on-one, MultiVersus has quite the advantage. And it's like obviously, like as a whole package, Smash games are usually filled to the brim with content.
Usually.
Usually. But like I don't see myself ever picking Smash 4 over MultiVersus. This game has crossplay, which is a big advantage over some other ones.
I suppose, see, I think perhaps I'm just a little out of the genre, because when I think of comparing this, I only really compare it to, like, the relatively big console contemporaries,
Yeah.
which would be Smash, PlayStation All-Stars, and Nick All-Stars. But I know for you, there's stuff like, Rivals of Aether, Brawlhalla. So you talk about those in comparison.
Yeah, like I haven't played enough Rivals of Aether, but I do like Rivals of Aether quite a bit. What little I've played of it, but I can't really comment on it too much because I don't really have the opportunity to play with too many people.
I mean, look, let's. I'm sorry, but we gotta hurt a massive fan base's feelings here. I'm sorry, guys, but MultiVersus is better than Battle Stadium DON. I'm really sorry.
I'm really sorry that this is.
I know all of you Chopper mains are really out there crying.
Yeah, crying Chopper mains.
All the crying Chopper mains.
But yeah, like PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. Like I actually had quite a bit of fun with that game back in the day.
Yeah, that was, I think, like my first platinum. And again, that was also, I think I got that game as my first major game on my PS3. So yeah. Yeah, I feel like this game, MultiVersus, feels the most like PlayStation All-Stars for minute-to-minute gameplay. I feel like it mechanically feels more like that than it feels like Smash or Nick All-Stars,
Yeah,
I would say.
PlayStation All-Stars really did try a lot of these esoteric meta styles. These more like stat-oriented gameplay.
Characters feeling very diverse from each other, which was a criticism at the time, and you could argue is still a criticism now of PlayStation All Stars, is that the characters feel too different from each other. But I think the difference was that being a one-on-one game, it didn't really flow the right way. Whereas with 2v2,
just like
there's enough variety. Like that was kind of meeting in the middle of like, you you want everyone to play on an even playing field, whereas MultiVersus, by having 2v2s, there is no even playing field. You know, it's like PlayStation All Stars couldn't go one way or the other too much, where it was stuck in between being Smash and being more like MultiVersus.
Yeah, and trust me, there's a lot I could say on that game. It is a game I wish I could really love. It just has enough problems with its presentation and with its general gameplay loop. And
Oh, what? Maybe
one,
one of these days we're gonna have to do a whole thing talking about PlayStation All Stars. I feel like we could talk for a while about that one.
yeah,
But yeah, I do feel like this takes a lot of the ideas of what that game wanted to be, but contextualizes it into something that works.
yeah, and
It also
obviously,
released on a console that wasn't dying the year after, but
yeah, like obviously, PlayStation All Stars. It's a very complicated story.
you know what, Joe? MultiVersus does not have a Coke Zero tie-in mobile phone game, so who's the real winner here?
I guess with the recent state of Warner Brothers IPs, it is kind of hard to say who I want in the game at this point. Like, obviously, there are some characters I'm pretty sure they could still get in, but like my number one most wanted IP seems to be off the table.
And what would that be?
I mean, I've always kind of wanted a Lord of the Rings character, or like or slash Hobbit character, but apparently there's been some sort of licensing issue that might not be happening anymore.
Yeah, wasn't it some of the books, I think? Or like they only had the license for something,
Yeah,
not everything else.
like so I'm not even sure if they're still on the table. I would have
Well,
been really
at
interested.
this point, we talk. At this point, it's like, who knows? At this point,
Yeah.
what'll they add? I don't even know. But talk about more characters you'd like to add.
Okay.
I'm trying to find that post I made several months ago where I listed all the characters I wanted.
Yeah, characters I'd want to see in. Like right now, my number one is probably actually Mordecai and or Rigby from regular show.
Oh,
I don't know. The more I think about, oh, that cartoon has really climbed up my ranks just kind of passively over time.
yeah. No else has climbed up passively over time. My mom.
My mom. But
This
yeah,
is a sham. My voice is completely shot today. I will have to prepare. I'm a shell of my former self. You know, normally I can do funny voices, but I can't do shit tonight.
yeah. Um, I am worried about oversaturation of DC characters, but
And that's why we're getting Aquaman next.
like if we already get one, Aquaman would be the one I'm looking forward to. That's the one I probably want most.
Oh, give me Static Shock. I don't care about anybody else.
Give me an Ed and Eddie character.
Is the next 5 minutes just gonna be us saying, "Give me this character, give me that character"?
Like, ah, God, yeah, this happens way too often in communities like this. But like, God, like
Give me more, give me more, give me more. Dun, 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 dun.
that's what
Oh, you know
happens.
what? Can Warner Brothers is such a big company. I don't even know who they own. Do they own Grease? Can I get the cast of Grease in here? Get John Travolta's flying cars the level?
That's what happens when you have a roster that has such a wide reach. Is that
Yeah.
everyone kind of wants something.
Yeah, like I don't even understand which licenses they do and don't have. I keep seeing everyone wants Breaking Bad characters. It's like they're owned by Sony. Is that even eligible for Warner Brothers? I don't know. There's so much legal red tape between these franchises. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, like what's viable, what's not.
Apparently, Lord of the Rings isn't viable.
Yeah, like they were speculated all over the place, and then something happened, and now everyone's just like, it's probably not going to happen. Like, God damn it, I want to play as a Hobbit.
It's like, one of the franchises I want most is like Terminator. It's like, but only one of those was made by Warner Brothers. Does that mean they can use them? Does that mean they can only use the one? I'd prefer getting the T-1000 from T2, but that wasn't made by Warner Brothers. It's like, as like an
It was
example.
on the table.
By the way, that
And then we talked about what about like licenses they have like in foreign markets. Like how hard would it be to get a JoJo character in?
yeah, would that even be a thing they would want, or would they want a different franchise, more notable? But like, to notable to who, Yeah, consider internet. I mean, obviously they're going to lean more towards the Western market, but like, are there characters from foreign entities that they might want to have?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
are there
like
characters who they can't get the rights to internationally, so they're not going to be able to use them? Like, some of the Cartoon Network characters. I think they want to have some of those characters in, but international rights are holding them up. Like, I forget, was it like Foster's Home, I think? Or something like that. I was reading about it. One of the Cartoon Network shows, international distribution rights. Oh, you know what? No, I'm sorry, it's for a different thing. To shit on Nick All-Stars again for a sec, which despite all my shitting, I actually do enjoy that game. Um, is that part of the reason why Timmy Turner never gets to show up is that Nickelodeon only has the rights to the Fairly Odd Parents in the US. They don't have it like in other countries. So they can't put Timmy Turner or Fairly Odd Parents in any of these games because they don't have international rights to the Fairly Odd Parents.
yeah.
So it's like, I'm sure that definitely applies to Warner Brothers, most definitely. Which means, are we going to be able to get Cookie Monster? It's like, yeah, some of these characters, the rights holders might not even want them to be involved in a game like this. They might not be able to get some of the actors back. There's so much legal red tape. It's like there's so many characters they could do.
But
It also does bring up the question of, like, what characters are they going to focus on? Because we've been starting to see a lot of franchise repeats with the DLC so far. And I know we're still fairly early into
yeah, we're
it,
still
but
very early.
we also know from some of the leaks a decent chunk of the characters are going to come.
Yeah.
And there is going to be a lot of DC. There's probably going to be a lot of Looney Tunes, and it's like,
Yeah. How dig are they? How far are they going to dig? I don't know. There's just kind of an uncertainty at this moment. What's on and off the table?
it's exciting. Do you think this model, though, works for you personally? I know for the general populace it works, but me personally, I'm not like that inclined to jump back to a game if it's got like 2 new characters. I still have to buy anyway, or like I still gotta pay to play anyway, so it's like, I don't know. I certainly think it helps keep the game alive and, keeps me every now and then checking in, but for me it's not really motivating me to like, I gotta play the game. I gotta go check it out now.
Yeah. I think it works for me, but I don't know how much of that is like the reason why I'm not super into this game, like completely enthusiastic about it. Is it because the characters aren't exciting me much? Is there something with the game? Is the release model just kind of meh, or is it just whoever feels like playing with me at the time?
Yeah, I think it could be just a couple of those things. I think for me, like, I'm not particularly good at staying consistent on multiplayer stuff. I usually need more to do in my game. The severe lack of stuff to do kind of keeps me from playing. Battle passes are not inherently enough for me, especially like limited time. I like to have like things to complete on a checklist, and if that checklist goes away and is not completable, it's not gonna gel with me. Because otherwise, I get addicted and just want to do the whole checklist every month, and creates an unhealthy obsession. So I need like things to do and things to check off a little list for completion. So
Like I'm pretty content with the fact that the cycle of just, all right, so for like an hour or two in the evening, I'll talk to someone and just play a few rounds with them. Which, that's not a bad thing for a game to be.
Yeah, I'm not saying this as though it's a criticism of it. I'm simply saying as a reason why I can't
Yeah.
stay invested in it is there's just not enough to keep me invested. Like, for me, I just need like there to be something to do, something to check off, something to mark a completion of the experience, even if it was just a shitty arcade mode or something, and they had like achievements tied to it or little unlockables or something tied to it, you know, something
Yeah.
like that. Even as bare bones as it is, I'm not expecting a game like this to have a proper story mode, but
Yeah.
even if it's just something like that to
Like
kind of keep me going. But
arcade
that's
mode.
also not what kind of game this
Yeah.
is. But hmm?
Arcade mode is being dropped alongside Black Adam.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing we addressed it at the beginning, so that when people get to this part of the video, like, excuse me, sir, you didn't realize that arcade mode's already out. It's like, oh yeah, an hour ago we said that by this point Black Adam wasn't here yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait for Jesse Pinkman to get added so he can just call everyone bitch at the end of his wins.
Yeah. When are we gonna have Jesse Pinkman versus Ruby Rose? And they're fighting in the Animaniacs water tower. When am I going to be able to wobble someone with Pinky in the brain?
Bro, I can't wait for Cookie Monster Mecha Builder to be added.
Yeah, I gotta work on my foghorn leghorn so I can counter play that.
I'll say you what here. I'm about to learn how to ledge grab off you.
Yeah. Like, it's a simple fun of a fighting game just to have this wacky roster.
Yeah. There's always gonna be some charm in it. Uh, in spite of how it can seem just like a corporate crossover. I guess real quick before we kind of close the book on this discussion, even though I feel like there's probably plenty more we could still say. Do you feel like this game is a corporate, like, soulless cash-in? Do you feel like, especially in the wake of Space Jam 2, really, and HBO Max really kind of being a thing,
Yeah.
do you think that this game's potentially overshadowed by its consumerism and the product for which it represents? Or do you think that this game's quality is good enough or its community is strong enough to sort of separate it away from what it is?
A tricky question if there ever was one.
Gotta save those hard ones for the end.
I guess it really does depend on what I've been saying earlier. It's like, are they going to dig into some deeper properties to really take us by surprise, or are they just going to play it safe?
I know there's one franchise they've been willingly avoiding, and I think they know why. A franchise that, given it 5 years ago, they would have absolutely uh, put in, but I think they know now. It's a little too hot, a little too spicy right now. It can get its own dedicated AAA video game, but in this crossover fighter, probably best to keep it out. I think they know a lot of people would stop playing if they were to add it. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So I think at that point, I think my answer will be more clear if they ever decide to add from that franchise.
Alright, yeah. I think I could see that.
It's amazing how two very similar franchises in that regard. No wonder they started with Game of Thrones. You know, that's the closest they can get to that aesthetic.
Yeah, one of them has licensing rights, and the other decided to go turf or nothing.
Well, before we cancel ourselves here, maybe we close the book on this one then. Unless you got something else to say.
Nah. Nah, I think that's
That's a way to end it. That's a way to end it, alright. Well,
yeah, nah.
yeah. I think we've had a fun chat today. I think we've, I think the good thing is that I feel like I could talk more about this discussion, so maybe we'll come back. Maybe we'll see how the game does in a couple more months, see if there's some new updates.
Oh.
When they decide they add Don Flamingo in, so that he can fight, so he can fight Omi from Michelle and Showdown.
Yeah. 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 So when are we gonna get Aslan versus Freakazoid?
When are we gonna get? When are we getting Jackie Chan from the Jackie Chan Adventures fighting Ash Ketchum, but specifically with his original voice actor from 4Kids? And that's not a nostalgia thing. That's a we're legally getting WB thing.
Yeah.
Tracy sketch it or bust.
Nah, it's gotta be
If I
character
can't,
not from the Pokemon anime or any property to give a shit about. No, we gotta get Nathan from the trading card game DVD tutorial.
if I can't live in a world where I can have number 2 from the kids next door punch the T800 in the face, I don't want to be here.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Is that depending on how deep they want to dig, we can get a really, really cool stuff.
If I can't have Osmosis Jones commit biological warfare against the extreme Ghostbusters, why am I even here?
Exactly.
Well, fine, fellas. Or ladies. Or whatever you identify yourself as. I'd like y'all to tell us in the comments down below, or wherever you'd like to consume this, who you'd like to see for the game, who you enjoy playing as, and yeah, maybe even let us know some more topics you'd like us to talk about. Now that we're getting more into topic-based discussion, I think we're ready for some real hard hitters.
Yep. And stay tuned for more next time at the table.
See y'all.